our last speaker on digital cooperation, last but not least, keep the best for the last, is Dr. Lawana Richmond, and she will be here on behalf of Grioneers. She's speaking on artificial intelligence and extended reality. Please, you have the floor.
Okay, good afternoon. Very short, no slides. First of all, I want to start by thanking you for having all of us, for organizing this, and all of the sponsors. This has been wonderful. I'd like to begin by talking about how, people are talking about artificial intelligence and virtual reality, and a lot of times they're talking about them as if they're like these big boogeymen that are lurking around the corner and they're going to ruin the world and they're going to ruin our life. Despite whatever is happening, there's still a lot of really good uses, and a lot of people are aware, I think, of how artificial intelligence can be used to create images. I actually use it to create the logo for Grioneers. It can be used to save time with communication, correspondence, some of the everyday admin tasks to free us up to actually engage as humans in the more creative and interpersonal things. The thing that I really think that we're missing, because AI kind of overshadowed virtual reality. So we were really actively engaged in VR and starting to see how it could be used to like bridge distance and make unsafe trainings more safe, because it's much safer to learn how to fly a plane in virtual reality than to like learn, in an actual plane, among other things. And then how many people experienced COVID school this century? Either as a professor or as a student. And I can tell you, on both sides, it was really difficult. Going from in-person in the classroom to Zoom is a really difficult transition. A lot of it is because you're going from an immersive environment where you can see people, you can get nuance, you can have side conversations, which, while people discourage them, there's actually value to them, to the space where like you're on a screen, people are in windows, you can't see them, there's no nuance, and then when the meeting is over, the person ends the Zoom and the environment disappears. And what I was advocating for prior to this was more utilization of virtual reality. And I'd like to share some examples of how even now we're using it to help with storytelling, training, meeting. The first one I'll start with is Alt VR, which as soon as Microsoft decided to invest in AI, they literally shut down the AltSpace virtual reality environment, which was actually the best environment for a variety of purposes. So you had people with hundreds of worlds that they had built that basically the plug got pulled on them. So I'll start this by saying, if you are interested in engaging in VR, I encourage you to look at how to build and host your own environments. Some of the advantages to virtual reality, while Zoom offered those opportunities that were lost, in virtual reality, especially for children, instead of being in this space where basically they're constrained and expected to sit in front of a screen and required to sit there with the camera on, regardless of what is happening in their environment. For students who were in less economically advantaged situations, that was particularly challenging. Can you imagine trying to do Zoom school, as we call it, and in the background you got your parents arguing, or you've got all kinds of noise, you don't have any space. So with virtual reality, it's immersive. First of all, you put on the headset, and it's actually your focus is there. People, once you adjust to being in virtual reality, you forget that you're there. The other part is, even though they couldn't run and play outside, they were still able to engage their imagination. Instead of like just turning on the screen and you're there, there's actually like a landing space where they can walk together, they can talk with their friends, they can play, and then get to wherever the classroom environment is, and they can engage in activities in an entirely different way, so they continue to maintain their social development. For adults, the challenge with Zoom meetings, again, the environment existed when the host let you in, it was very controlled, and when the host ended it, that was the end. How many of you have gone to a meeting because there was someone you knew who was gonna be at the meeting that you just needed to ask a quick question, and maybe you've been playing phone tag, but you knew that if you went to this meeting, either right before the meeting or after the meeting, you could get your minute and get the thing done, right? So Zoom ended that. But with VR, again, you have these landing spaces, and you also have the ability to, in real time, have side conversations similar to how you would if you were in the meeting. And when it's a quick question, that made all the difference in the world. So those are like a couple of practical applications for VR. Currently, I'm engaged in a project, it's called Impact New Voices, where we're doing some digital archiving and storytelling of history of a neighborhood called Logan Heights in Southeast San Diego. In most cities, Southeast is like where all the people of color are, particularly Black people. So this is an opportunity where we're capturing stories of Black and brown people, and we're creating VR vignettes, and we're also capturing the history of a lodge that's called the Elks Lodge to help people understand why it's important to support it. And so we go to different venues and we take the VR headsets and give people an opportunity, one, to experience VR, but also to see a practical application and engage. And again, it's just a more connected experience. And thirdly, there are some great opportunities for immersive films. For example, there's a movie about the civil rights movement that's set actually here in New York, primarily, but it starts in Birmingham, and it's you're on the bus, literally sitting on the bus with Rosa Parks as that happens. And you can look around and you can see the people around you. I guess if you want to, you can get up and walk around the bus. And then a lot of the activity in the film takes place in this diner through different decades, where at one point they're doing a split screen where they show that diner today and they show that diner in history, and you can look around and see like different like historic engagements and meetings of historic figures that took place in the diner. And you know, there's some things that are a little more unsettling, but the idea is to be able to look at history in a more contextualized environment, and it's a great learning tool. And I encourage us, as we think about extended reality, AI, virtual reality, to understand that yes, to every coin there's another side, but there are always like positive uses that can contribute to society and can continue to contribute to us moving forward. And when you think particularly about Afrofuturism, many of us, particularly from Black Speculative Arts Movement, are based in cities and countries all over the globe. And we do get together and have our, you know, occasional Zoom, and sometimes we communicate on WhatsApp, but imagine if we all had VR headsets and we could really hang out. Thank you.